All right, good morning, guys. Whoa, heyo. Good morning for real, huh? That's good. All right, let's see, lesson 13. End of the Dad Lab. If you're okay with it, we'll save the mixer till the end. No, you're really sad about that? But there will be bacon involved, so that makes everything better. At least that's what I've been told. Now, I'm not making the breakfast, so we'll see how that all works out. But I'm excited for the guys that have, and I appreciate all of us being here this morning. And in reality, I do want to give us a little bit of a buffer at the end of our window here today to enjoy breakfast and some camaraderie. So we'll kind of jump right in. If you have your books, and I hope you do, page 53. Because today I really want us to kind of celebrate where we've been, what we've done, what's been accomplished, how we've grown, and this little journey that we've been on. And the whole purpose, really, of Dad Lab is the doing of fatherhood, right? The action of who we are. We need wisdom, we need direction, but for most of us, we need to do. And it's putting those things into action. And I think a lot has been done over these 13 weeks. I'm really excited about that. And what you'll see here on page 53 is instead of an icebreaker, we're just going to kind of do a little bit of a look back individually on kind of where we've been, what we've learned, the things that we've been impacted by. Sometimes repetition goes a long way. Sometimes being reminded of, oh yeah, September. Feels like forever ago, but there might have been some important things that were learned then, or some ground that was gained then, or different lessons along the way. And so we will do a little bit of introspection here at the beginning of our time together. Aaron's got some queued up music that's going to be thinking music that's going to really enhance your ability at 6 a.m. to stay awake with some beautiful piano. Please don't fall asleep. That would be bad. We got some coffee in the. Got some coffee out there if you need a little bit. But what I want to do today is just give you about 3 minutes. We'll start with question number 1. And for real, I hope you have a pen. And really actually writing something down here goes a long way, because if you just choose to contemplate and not write anything down, you're missing a learning opportunity. You're losing an opportunity to kind of solidify this in your mind. And so I'll give you a couple minutes and literally look back through your workbook, look back through these 12 lessons, and which one of these lessons impacted you in a significant way and why. I don't need a 400-word essay. But what lesson impacted you and why? Why don't you chew on that for about 3 minutes and jot down some of your answers. All right, go back to page 53 if you would. Page 53. Topics are one thing, and we learn and we grow, and that's a good thing. But then part of it is really being active about it. And so look at question number 2. What specific activity from the Dad Lab was memorable for you? And hopefully you've got some things written down at the end of each one of your chapters about small group conversation that you had, different activities, or in the back of your book in the Tracking the Wins section. But go ahead and kind of look back through, jog your memory of what specific activity from the Dad Lab was most memorable for you. And our next question will be, what was most memorable for your kids? And so maybe I'll give you a little bit of an extended period here to answer both of those questions. What was memorable for you? And then what was memorable for your kids? So go ahead and take a few minutes to jot down those answers. Turn your page to page 54, if you would. And top of page 54, what role did your small group play during your time in the Dad Lab? In other words, what were the positive impacts that came from either your time here with your group, conversations outside, breakfast, texts, encouragement, whatever it was, serving together at Souls for Jesus, whatever it might have been, kind of what was the role and the impact of your small group during your time in the Dad Lab? Take a couple of minutes to think that through. All right, keep going on page 54. Hopefully, early in the process, you selected this fatherhood resource that you were going to engage on your own, independent of our group time together. And so just kind of remind yourself, what was it, and what was the impact it made on you as you consumed or read or watched or whatever you did with these additional resources. Kind of remind yourself of the impact that was made through that additional resource that you chose. All right, go ahead. Last question on page 54. Track the wins. Maybe it was in the back of your book. Maybe you wrote it down. Maybe it was in the lessons, or kind of a synopsis of even these 4 or 5 questions that we've just answered. Matt, what's your biggest takeaway? Like, what was the achievement? What ground did you gain? And how do you keep that momentum going? So be okay to celebrate and talk a little bit about what you did and why it was valuable. right, hopefully you kind of wrap that up a little bit. Breakfast will be at 6:45, so we've got about 20, 25 minutes or so. You've heard me yak a lot during Dad Lab, and so what I want to do is just give us a couple moments here, because I want to hear from you guys, and I'd love for us as a group to really celebrate kind of where we've been, what we've done, where we've grown, how we have learned something as dads, how we've implemented something as dads. And so part of priming the pump with these questions this morning is yes for your good and for remembering that and kind of having a go-to and where are we going from here. But part of it is I'd love to hear from you. And so I've got a mic here. I'll sit down in the front row. And man, just a dozen guys, I don't know, 15. Just kind of tell us what you've learned, how you've grown, what's been impactful for you, because those are going to reinforce things that are good for the rest of us, and we're going to be encouraged by your growth and by your initiative. And I think this is kind of the power of that synergy of guys going in the right direction, making a big step, making a small step, finding that encouragement in kind of the camaraderie of other men. And so somebody be bold and break the ice. Once we get through about 2, probably the ideas will start flowing. But I'd love to hear from you guys on the things that were most impactful or meaningful for you in the Dad Lab here. And so I got a mic. Somebody come grab it. Somebody be bold. Yeah, come on up. John's going to lead off for us today. I appreciate that, John. And by the way, you've got 20 minutes or less.
How about now? All right. Just want to express gratitude both to Mike and then just to everyone here. Got to meet a lot of you and just appreciate just the camaraderie and brotherhood that came out of this. That alone was worth it, but we got a lot more out of this too, with just learning more about integrating Christ in our life. I know me personally, I've learned to just take even just baby steps in getting a kid's Bible and just reading it with my kids. And what I think I really appreciate is their interest in it more than what I thought that they would have. That was a big deal for me, and I really appreciated that. But, just in general, all of you guys, I appreciated getting to know a lot of you and hopefully continue that friendship going forward.
All right, hey guys, I'm Anton Fote. I've got 2 kids, but my kids are older. My son is 27 and our daughter is 25. And so I'd like to come into the Dad Lab because it was nice to have other guys who were behind me in the process and get to talk with them about what life was like at their stage. But what I didn't expect is looking back at raising my own kids, especially like when we had to interview the kids, I will tell you, I did not want to do that. I told the guys in my group I wasn't going to do it. And then I finally texted them the next morning and said, okay, fine, I'll do it. And part of the thing is, as a dad, part of the way it goes is you just don't seek attention. We're not looking for attention for ourselves, and that's just the way it is. But being forced to interview my kids and have them tell me, did I do a good job is basically what I'm asking. And them explaining that, that I was integral in their lives and them becoming adults. It's something I think I always knew, but it was just amazing to hear it from them directly. And that's, something valuable I got that I just did not expect whatsoever.
Yeah, there you go. All right, who's next?
I'm looking for attention, so speak for yourself. Also, my kids are older too. I've got one freshman at lacrosse, and then I've got one sophomore at home. So it was a different experience for me. I don't have littles at home, but I do appreciate Mike and all your hard work and the content. And I've been to most of the men's things here that we've put on, so this is one of the better ones, Mike. And for you to do it on your own or collab with some of your other pastor colleagues, it's great content. And if this is your first one, I would encourage you to come to everything that we do men's ministry wise here at church because it's really great. But like you were saying, Anton, I didn't want to interview my kids because I was afraid of what they were going to say. So actually, I was pleasantly surprised. So one thing I do need to work on is patience because I don't have a lot of it. And my kids reaffirm that with me. So I'm going to continue to work on that. So hold me accountable with the patience.
Thanks, Trav. Appreciate you, brother.
Open mics are dangerous.
Yes, sir.
Open mics.
All right, who's next? Oh, yes, sir. Mr. Lavold.
Morning. Another thanks to Mike for another great study. I did All In, and that crushed it, and this one is right there too. So thanks, Mike, for putting this all together. And thank you to all you guys. You're a real encouragement to me being here every Tuesday, 6 a.m. I feel like I'm up every morning in time to get here, but it's just getting here, getting in the, some cold mornings. So I appreciate all of you. Thanks to all the old guys, and take that with a grain of salt. You guys are through this stage in life, and just really appreciate the sacrifice that you made to be here and share your experiences. Really got to know Anton really well, and just appreciate you guys being here and sharing. You're a step ahead of us, and just giving us some advice, and just really appreciate that, guys. It was a good reflection. My wife would ask, how did it go? And I said, it's really good. It's a lot of common sense things, but it's good to revisit that, like on a weekly basis, daily basis. And not common sense like I take it for granted, but just some things you just overlook. And I just really appreciated just really digging in and getting the one-on-one and with my kids, and just really appreciate you guys. Thanks.
My name's Ray. I'll just reinforce kind of the daily, weekly basis comment of, I found that I needed to be more purposeful in planning being a dad. I plan my work day, I plan my work week. I am conscious about date nights with my wife, but I don't exactly wake up and think like, oh, what am I going to do with my kids this week? Or how am I going to influence them? And I think a lot of the stuff, you might be good at one of these things naturally, but all of these things aren't going to come naturally, at least they don't to me. And so thinking through the different facets of that, and just having a plan, and recognizing that it goes by fast. 13 weeks goes by fast, and if you aren't proactive about it, it's going to sneak up on you.
By the way, this side of the room is dominating, so you guys,
Yeah.
if you need me to move over
Yeah,
there,
that side. Every week I come home from this and my wife asks me, how was dad bod this week? So hopefully we'll do a good job of that here in a minute. I would say the serving lesson for me was very impactful. Some of the stuff, like Ray said, just kind of comes naturally to you. The serving one, I would say I do an okay job of it doing it myself, but I was challenged to do that with my family more. And it's amazing how often that happens, and then God's like, oh yeah, here you go, right? So we've had a lot of opportunities since that lesson to do some pretty cool stuff as a family, to help some families that need some help. And so that one hit me good.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks Mike, this is amazing. I said to Mike early on, what are you going to do with the program? Are you going to syndicate it, or are you going to put it out there? Because I just think it's that good. So thanks. So I'm an interesting experiment, guys. I have a 35-year-old with one granddaughter, a 32-year-old with another, and I have a 12-year-old. And so this is pretty interesting. Patience when you're 64 with a 12-year-old can run a little low. So we pray about that, and we need help there. When we first started this, I had a fun moment with him right at the beginning, so I tend to go for that comedy with him, and I told him about, Dad Lab, and I said, "You're teaching us." I said, "Don't be nervous, but while you're sleeping, they're teaching us how to experiment while you're in there." You thought that was pretty good. Then we got into some of the more meaty stuff. Yeah, I need to draw closer to him, for sure, and do more with him. And we had fall cleanup in the lawn, and he's big. He's gotten pretty big. As a 12-year-old, he's almost my height now. It's crazy. He is adopted, by the way. I guess I didn't say that. So we don't know where this is going. My older guys, he's approaching their heights as well. They think this is super cool. So now it's about, just getting close to him and being on this journey together. And I'm really grateful for the program.
Thanks, Bob.
This has just been a great, as you guys have said, just a great reminders, great promptings. The financial lesson really helped motivate me to get my older kids into investing and have those conversations. Jody, Lucas, myself, Joe, Lucas, and myself, we were talking about it. Just like let's take those steps, and it was just a really good prompting to let's have those conversations. My two younger kids had savings accounts. Well, one's 15, probably checking account. Especially now she needs a debit card so she can fill the car with gas when she starts driving in a year. So there's some really good steps on that. The one that really hit me, I think, was the discipler of the family. Again, these are common sense things. We're like, yes, as a father, you are the discipler. But we had our oldest kid go off to college this fall, and there's a separation in some sense, but at the same time, like even if he's off to college, I'm still his father, and I still get the opportunity and the privilege to speak into his life to say, hey, how are you doing your quiet times? Tell me about your dorm floor studies. How's that going? And just to continue that conversation. It's easier with kids at home. It's easier when they're little and you're driving them all over the place because you can have those conversations, those one-on-ones, windshield time. But even to the extent of, okay, you're off, but it doesn't release me and I can't let my foot off the gas and keep discipling and keep prompting. So, all right, guys.
Morning, guys. I would say, so during Dad Lab, we've had another baby. So I've got a almost 2-year-old, Judah, and then we had a new baby, and Nathan over there is in a similar experience. So some of the guys in our group were at the younger level of things. Well, with adding a new baby, it adds a lot more stress for the marriage relationship. And so we've been finding that my wife and I have our worst fights in the middle of the night. Just the knock it out, drag it out fights where you're like, what are we even talking about? I don't know, but I'm tired. And so anyway, the affirmation and apology lesson was really big for me because I was affirmed a lot as a kid, but my dad never apologized to me. And Beth and I were very careful to behave rightly in front of our sons, but at times we don't do that very well. And especially when we're low on sleep, not really sleeping at all for a while, all of a sudden something would happen and Judah's right there and we're like, whoa, like that's not okay that we just did that. And so we sat him down and we like apologized to him, and just that humility and seeing him, like his eyes just looking at you as you're talking to him and trying to connect with him, it's like so impactful. So just an attitude of humility. I don't want to be arrogant. I don't want to be continuing in a legacy that would be negative in that way. The other thing that stood out was, I don't remember what lesson it was, but the bedtime routines are really big right now for the kiddos. So just like I love you, I'm proud of you, and you're good at this, and like thinking of something during the day that was specific. I mean, Judah, he literally is laying in his bed, and his eyes are wide open in the dark, and you can see your eyes adjust in the dark. But he's like just absorbing every single word you say, and I say, I love you, and he's like, I love you, I'm proud of you, I'm proud of you. He like says it right back. And like, you're good at this. And then he'll be like, climbing or whatever it is. And we have this discussion. But anyway, like bedtime routines are so precious and just being intentional with that time. So I'm going to leave the mic on this side. But thanks, Mike, Jeremy, Brian, for being here. Everything.
Oh man, chosen. That's embarrassing. Yeah, I'm Nathan, and I just really Mike's my neighbor, and he invited me to this, so I appreciate the invite, Mike. But it's just been great to be. I think the best part was sitting in group with Earl and hearing him say, "Man, I wish I would have had this when I was younger as a dad to think through these things." And you guys are so lucky to think through these things before you get to these big milestones, because in our group all of us have younger kids, and that I think was really powerful to me, because this is truly a gift at a point in our lives where we can think about these things. And we talked about that. We talked about how maybe our dads or our father figures in our lives didn't necessarily do all these things, but to be able to have this chance and this opportunity to think about that stuff before we come to some of those milestones was really powerful. And just to hear it from Earl and for him to say that, it was kind of like one of those things like, oh, I can't squander this. Like I need to treat this with opportunity and chance. So that was super, super encouraging. So.
I'm just gonna stay back here. Hey guys, I'm David. Want to thank Mike. Such a blessing. Everything you've put out through the last few years has been awesome, and as you've said numerous times, not that anything you're sharing is necessarily groundbreaking, like we've never heard it before, but it's something we need to hear time and time again. Definitely been in a season where I've had to get back into some of these routines. We've got 2 under 2, and neither one of them are sleeping great, and so there's been a season where we've dropped off in the bedtime routines, in the devos, in the things that we know are important. And I think it's been really encouraging because I've been finding myself coming home and being like, what can I do to help set my family up to win? And I'm more of a task-oriented person, so my mind goes to, oh, I'll do the dishes, I'll clean the floor, I'll make it so I can actually walk through my house without tripping and falling over. And my girls just keep coming up and wanting to spend time. And I keep hearing so many older people say, it goes by so fast, and you're like, thank you, I've heard it a billion times, I know. But it does. They're growing up so quick, and this time has been really encouraging because it's been a reminder that the greatest thing I can do is not get another task done to help my family, to help my wife, but to spend that time. Whether that's affirming, apologizing, disciplining, serving, whatever it is, taking those moments to really shape them and point them back to Christ. So it's been a painful time going through this, realizing like all the things I need to work on, but it has been so encouraging through that. So thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Well, that's pretty loud. And thanks to the small group. I think we had really great discussions. My kids are 11, 9, and 7, 2 daughters, and the affirmation part. I think it's challenging. Like you go and you say, "I love you. I'm proud of you. You're good at," and you feel that it's kind of like cheesy. And I know Bob, you had some funny stories on that. But when I went into my daughters and I added that fourth, "You're beautiful," it was really cool how they responded to it. My older daughter just kind of looked at me and smiled, and that was great. I knew she let it soak in. But my 9-year-old just looked at me and goes, "I know." And I hope she holds on to that, because it's going to be a challenge as she grows up to always remember that. So I just keep saying it because she soaks that in. My older daughter soaks that in. So that's been really cool. The other neat thing was my older daughter went away for the weekend with another family, And I think she had a great time. When she came back, she just comes up and goes, "Dad, you're pretty cool." So I must be doing the fun part, right? I hope. But thank you again.
So I'm Rodney Ross. I've got a 30-year-old and a 26-year-old, and I'm one of those older fathers. I've heard a common theme that asking our kids what they thought about us as a father was challenging. My group would agree that I was nervous about that, and I was pleasantly surprised. Either they're forgetful of the bad moments or I did an okay job. The other real takeaway for me, well, and I was surprised I was that nervous about asking my kids how I did. The other takeaway for me was the resource, the seasons of fatherhood. And I've left with the understanding that just because my kids are older and mostly independent, my role as a dad isn't over. The key components of how I interact have changed, but my role will be dad as long as my kids are alive or I'm alive on this earth. So I know my father was a very traditional, stoic, hardworking man that I loved and respected, but he was my tutor of how I would father. And on one level, that was good. On another level, I've learned there are a lot of other aspects to fatherhood than just being a hard worker and a stoic man. So as I've entered this next chapter of fathering adult kids, this lesson helped me understand that you don't get a do-over, but you can grow those areas where you weren't good, and it still has an impact. As my father aged and I spent time with him as an adult, those are some of my sweetest memories as he became a little more vulnerable and our relationship changed. So enjoy every season you're in. The hard seasons, I don't know where they went, where you're not sleeping are really rough, but some of the adult seasons are rough too. The challenges are bigger, have larger consequences, but they still look to you as the head of the family and the rock that they turn to when things get tough. And it's a blessing. Not an easy journey, but a blessing to be a father. So thank you guys for the study and the time.
All I know is you guys must be hungry, so let's get to breakfast. I want to conclude two very simple things. Turn back in your books to page 5. Turn back in your books to page 5. This was the very first lesson that we did back in September. And I remind us as we depart of the kind of key biblical foundation, and I just remind us of 1 Thessalonians 2. For you know that we dealt with you as a father deals with his own children, encouraging, comforting, and urging. Those are our words, aren't they? Encouraging, comforting, and urging you to live lives worthy of God, who calls you into his kingdom and his glory. Every one of these lessons, every one of these topics, every one of these endeavors and talks with our kids and serving and money, all of those things flow out of, I think, these instructions from 1 Thessalonians 2. And it's funny because Paul wasn't even actually giving a parenting lesson here. He was giving an analogy. And the analogy is, you know what a good dad is. A good dad does these things. Encourages, comforts, and urges his kids to live lives worthy of God, who calls you into his kingdom and glory. And I think that's true whether Jake and Nathan are having some sleepless nights and David in those early years. and other more veteran dads who talked about being 20 or 30 years onto this journey. The umbrella overarching our fatherhood doesn't change. Encouraging and comforting and urging our kids to live lives worthy of God who's called you into his kingdom and his glory. And so I want to start there for Dad Lab, and I want to end there with Dad Lab as kind of our exhortation to move forward, our benediction, if you will. And in just a minute, I will pray for us and pray for breakfast. But one final request that I have of you, probably later today, I'll send out a final email. It'll have the link to this morning, although this morning was mostly self-driven. But in there is going to be a survey. I'm looking for feedback. Guys, this was just a brainstorm. 12 months ago. I don't pretend that this is magic or awesome or good. I think there's opportunity to grow. One of the specific things I'm looking for is additional topics, or what are things you'd like to dig into a little bit more on parenting, or what are you bumping into, or what are some of those things that are evergreen in parenting. And it could be specifically with sons, could be specifically with daughters. I really would appreciate the sincerity of your thinking and feedback on any of this stuff, because I don't know where it goes from here. I think there's more life for the Dad Lab. I've also gotten some encouragement from the ladies that there should be a husband lab. We'll see how that transpires. But I think this dad stuff is evergreen. And one of the things I've heard across the groups and across the interaction that I've had is whether they're 3 or 13 or 23, we've got an opportunity and we've got a role. The application looks a little bit different from age to age, and that transition through stages is part of the growing process. But as this comes out, I really would appreciate any and all feedback that you do have, because I think it can only allow us to grow stronger. So let me pray for us as we're done here, and then we'll have some breakfast. I'm excited about that. Lord, it's really an absolute privilege to be here with these men. We've been on a great journey here through your word and through some of the foundational aspects of being a dad. It's one of the coolest and hardest and most noble journeys we're ever going to have this side of heaven. Part of it, Lord, is you set the standard of perfection as a father, and you are our model, you are the guide, you are the standard, and man, we know we fall short, but your grace is sufficient to carry us through. I pray in all of this we would be reminded that our dependence is on you, our strength comes from you, the wisdom that we're going to need to handle those really hard things comes from you. You're going to be the giver of patience. You're going to be the giver of endurance. You're going to be the giver of initiative and ideas. And Lord, I pray for each one of these guys and these dads, for myself, that we lean on and we depend completely on you and your word for this journey of fatherhood. I pray that we would be able to recognize and embrace and enjoy the joyful moments that are before us. So often they're the simple things. Rarely are they the elaborate, but we got to be present in those moments to see it and to enjoy it. Lord, I pray that the relationships that have developed through small groups and little icebreakers and interactions, Lord, I pray that those would continue, that we would be a great source of encouragement to each other. We would celebrate the wins of fatherhood together, and we would encourage each other when it's easy to get a little bit lackadaisical or to coast. Lord, in all these things, you are good and you provide for us. We're so thankful for the resources and the men of Spring Creek Church. I pray that we would be champion dads who raise up hundreds and hundreds of kids. Man, what a dream that would be. Before I get too emotional, Jesus, thank you for breakfast and the chance to share these few calories together and a few couple moments in advance of going out to face the day. Be with us, guard us, and protect us as we go. In Jesus' name, amen. Guys, if you got a boogie, please go get in line first because I want you to be able to eat. If you can spend a couple of minutes after 7 o'clock, we'd be happy to have you. Johnny Wanamaker and Big Tom Langer, I think, are in the kitchen making us some food. So head out to the right. We should have 2 sides of the table. Grab your eggs, grab your bacon, grab your munchies. Thanks for coming, guys. Have a blast and enjoy breakfast.